Nancy. We have a guest who's joining us, and he is, and I'm hoping that he's there with us. I can't tell, Traven, if he's there with us. He is. I can see an Elvis picture.
Hello. Hello, ladies.
I don't know whether to call you Elvis or to buy your real name. How would you
Aaron.
like to be Aaron?
Aaron is fine.
Aaron, we're so happy to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I was listening to you guys before that. Interesting little bit there about the shopping center.
We're big Elvis fans, Aaron, so we're thrilled to have you on. But Shannon and I are big Elvis fans. And we have with us now Aaron Smith, who, as you can see, is an Elvis impersonator. And Aaron, tell us how you got started with this. I'm fascinated to find out your history.
Well, when I was younger, I got fascinated with the movies, the Vegas stuff. I watched a movie with my dad called That's the Way It Is, which was filmed at the Las Vegas, the International, then it became the Hilton. But I was fascinated by the 50s, but the 70s, his charisma on stage and the way he was able to really work a room. I thought, what a dynamic entertainer, and that there was something special about him that I really liked. And then I dove into the world of impersonating and tribute artists, and that it was a thing. So I started in high school to like music over sports. So, and then after graduating high school, I found out this Elvis tribute thing was a thing. So I kind of dove into that head first. First it was the songs, then it was mentors, different people in the Elvis tribute community in Vegas and such, that kind of learning things from costuming, stage presence, songs, that sort of thing. And the makeup part, which totally new for me, totally new, the hair and the makeup, and the fact that now before a show, I have to plan a show like an hour ahead of time so I can do the hair and the makeup. But probably at 7 or 8 years old.
Okay.
Wow. And we had to do a lot because there was a big scheduling thing to make sure that we had time for you to be on. And I appreciate you being flexible, Aaron, to get you on.
That's totally fine. You guys would have laughed at me because, like, with COVID, I haven't been traveling and performing as much as I used to. So, with autism, you need that routine. And it was my fault. I got on super early, and then I was like, oop, wrong time. So I was happy because I had to do the hair and makeup, which, like, I rushed myself, and then I'm like, oh, cool. I guess I can go to the grocery store now.
Well, I do think, we were talking about this before we came on the air that, because there are several different time eras for Elvis. And when you're an Elvis impersonator, most of you choose an era, a time, but is this your 70s Elvis and you only do 70s Elvis, or do you also do younger as well?
I usually do from 69 to about 72, 73.
Okay. That's very specific.
Yeah.
So like opening night in Vegas, like I always say the in-between years from like 69 to like right after the Leather, the 68 special.
Right.
Right after that to about Aloha from Hawaii.
Okay. All right.
Now, Aaron, you are on the spectrum yourself. Tell us about that.
Yes, I am high functioning. I am autistic. I have Asperger's. I have ADHD. I have OCD. I have everything. It's great. I love it. It's the whole library. No, I'm very, very high functioning. I know when I was younger, math and reading were my hardest subjects in school to master and to learn. I did have an aide, which did help, but being high functioning, it's a blessing and it's a curse, because in the educational world of things, when I was younger, I didn't always get the help I needed because I looked so capable. So it looked like he's sort of playing the system, if you will,
right,
which was very unfortunate because I think, and that was in the early 2000s, I don't think schools really had, I guess, the grasp on how to do individualized learning,
okay,
which was hard for me in a public school. I ended up going to a private school, but in public school, it was hard for them to grasp that because it was almost I was getting passed along because it took me so long to get the subject to the topic.
Aaron, I'm curious, when you decided to do your first Elvis performance, like what were the circumstances around that? And what was it like when you said to your parents, you know what I want to do? I want to be an Elvis, a tribute performer.
First of all, my mom always pushed me. My mom and my sister and my dad were always very supportive, but it was interesting because for a while it was like, is this going to be, what you want to do, or are you going to, kind of get a normal job, if you will? And I did a little bit of both, but it didn't really pick up. It was just sort of a hobby. And at a young age, I remember doing my first show. I was like 7 or 8 years old, singing to a boombox and just being, he's so adorable, he's so cute. Let me get a scarf from the cute little Elvis kid, like. But and then as I got older, I took it more seriously. Obviously, I did have jobs in between then, but I would go through like a job coach or a vocational job coach at different jobs just to, work lots of temp jobs. But diving into Elvis, I never stopped. I don't think I ever stopped. I mean, I'd have to say the playing Memphis in 2017 was incredible. That was probably like so far my best moment of my Elvis world, because I mean, I got to meet some of his entourage there. I got to sing in Sun Records. I got to perform down there on Beale Street. But it was probably the most nervous I've ever been in my life too, because I had to work out for like 3 months to get in shape because I didn't want to be later Elvis. And then it was getting the costuming. The costuming is more expensive than the traveling.
And let me ask you, Aaron, have you found that your Asperger's diagnosis how has that affected your performing as Elvis, being a tribute artist?
In the beginning, it affected me working with different local performers or other tribute artists, because I'm one of the youngest ones in my state. And I was getting mentored by some of the older ones, or older, more veterans of the business. And it was hard because rehearsing and working one-on-one was hard, because sometimes those entertainers, I don't want to say they didn't understand, but they didn't understand it. But they also, I want to say they found it annoying and like didn't always want to work with me rehearsal wise because of that, because I wasn't always like, even when I would go to the studio, because I have a friend who has a studio in his house, he does Elvis. And when I would go to the studio, I found it difficult because he would get very irritated with me in the studio, because I even I guess the fact that I was so set on doing certain songs, and the fact that he'd be like, sometimes you're just difficult to work with, and I get that, but that it was hard with those older people that didn't understand it and then would get frustrated with me, and I sometimes wouldn't understand after doing a session why they were so frustrated.
Mm-hmm. It's so funny. It never occurred to me, I don't know if it ever occurred to you, Nancy, that there are so many Elvis tribute performers and impersonators out there. It never occurred to me that you would work in concert with each other and train each other and have mentorship. And, I know among clowns, there's a whole clown culture. I didn't realize that there was a whole Elvis tribute performer culture, but it makes sense to me. Mm-hmm. And, I'm sorry that it was made difficult for you, or that people said those things to you, Aaron. But clearly you persevered through that and have continued on and continue to perform. And then along comes COVID and makes it very hard to get gigs and to perform. Talk a little bit about how you weathered that. And then, of course, we want you to give information to people about how they can contact you if they're looking for an Elvis tribute performer.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you said that, because before COVID, I was just starting to get my foot back in the door. I was working with a lot of the younger guys. There's some guys in different states that do it. I actually just got back. This was a vacation. It wasn't a Elvis thing, but I had just gotten back from Washington, D.C. I was out there with a buddy of mine who travels with me, and we just took a little vacation out there to help some of his family, and then just make a vacation out of it. And right when we got back was when things started to get like crazy, crazy. I mean, and then first the anxiety kicked in for me because that's so much fun that normal was shutting down. So I was just thinking, what's next? What's next? What's our normal? What's gonna happen? And then secondly, at the time I was working, I ended up leaving that job because I had a family member who has some health issues. So it was spend time with the family versus work. And then the anxiety part of a lot of people who are in my circle and who have been kind of my team, I say, we're like, he won't do much good working because his anxiety is going to keep on his mind. He's just not going to be productive, and it's going to stress him out more than it's going to benefit him. So we all just decided that I would step out from that. But then having the music going, and my shows going, and that I guess that positive outlet, that was very difficult because I found myself in my house quite a bit, in my apartment quite a bit. And I mean, I'm an extrovert. I love being around people. So I found myself with so much time on my hands. And then as it got worse, the anxiety just completely overrid my mind to where I had no outlet. I had no shows. I had no traveling. And I have a psychiatrist. I'm not shy about saying that I see someone because I think that's something people need to talk about. And that's something people should absolutely not feel ashamed of doing, getting help. So many people bottle it up, and I think that's what's hurting us. But it was just difficult. It was difficult. And then eventually when the vaccine came available, um, I did get mine. I got my booster. I wasn't paranoid about it because I've gotten shots all my life, get them in, before school, whatever. But I was going to go down to Florida, and I didn't want to go down to Florida without it. I said no to that type of trip. I said, unless it's made available and I can get this, I'm not going to go down there. It's going to stress me out. It's going to change me on stage. I'm just not going to do that. And so that was the first time I was like traveling and out since COVID, was Florida last year. And it was helpful, but it was still on my mind. And I was still wondering, would we get back to touring and traveling and performing? And because this end of last year, when we were able to start doing it, I usually would play with a band. Well, because of the COVID numbers and having so many people in a building and a space, I would do it with a backing track or a karaoke track, because the less people on stage, the more people that can be in the audience to come to the show. So that was new too, because I found myself, I guess, I don't know, ending early on songs and the track's still going. It was getting used to working with a machine versus a band behind me, and the interaction was a little different. But I don't think it's ever going to get back to normal. I don't think the anxiety will subside until for a while for me personally.
But you're going to continue performing.
Yes.
And let's talk about how people can reach you and find out about you before we have to say goodbye.
Absolutely. You can go on Facebook at Elvis Tribute Artist Aaron Smith. My email's on there. My phone number's on there. I also just set up Twitter and Instagram as well. So I will try to get those posted up there in the near future. And any other inquiries, you can find me on Facebook, or you can private message me on Facebook as well.
Aaron, it's been such a delight to meet you, and we wish you all the best luck. And I hope at some point I get to see you do your thing.
I would love that. You two look like some fun ladies, so I would love to love to perform.
We tried.
And we love Elvis. We love Elvis.
So go Elvis.
Go Elvis. Absolutely. Aaron, best to you, and we'll look forward to hearing more good things about what you're up to.
Thank you very much. You have a wonderful day, ladies. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching Autism Live. If you found anything helpful in this video, please give us a like. In fact, make sure that you smash that subscribe button on YouTube and give us a like on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram for important updates. And please download our free podcast wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time. Until then, give your kiddos a hug from me and one for you too. Bye-bye for now.
To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.